club and take the lamb from its mouth. If the animal turns on me, I catch it by the jaw and club it to death. I have done this to both lions and bears, and I'll do it to this pagan Philistine. For he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord, who has saved me from the claws of the lion and the bears, will save me from the Philistine. Then Saul finally consented. All right, go ahead, he said, and may the Lord be with you. Amen. You may be seated. So David, in the story of David and Goliath, we learned when we were real small. Now David, his dad had about 7 or 8 sons. He was the youngest. Now at this time, 3 of this man's sons was in the army, and the dad told David, he said, go down to the war, go down to the fight, and take your brothers some sandwiches, and let me know what they doing down there in this war. So he was the youngest, and his job at this day was to take some sandwiches to his brothers and feed them. That's what the dad asked him to do. So David gets down there, and he brings the sandwiches, and he hears Goliath. Now the battle is one side and it's another side, and then there's a middle ground. Now Goliath is down there, he's down there stunting on them. I mean, he telling them, he's Debo. Y'all know who Debo is? He is Debo. What y'all gonna do? He yelling at them, and David's coming down as a young boy, just like, what's going on? The whole army is scared. They like, nah, that's Debo, that's Goliath. We don't mess with him. And they turn around and run away. And David, the youngest one of all, is like, why are y'all running from him? And then his brother is like, what are you doing down here? Why ain't you with the sheep? He's like, bro, I just asked a question. Why are you running? Him and his brother start arguing in the midst of this war about why the little boy is down there. What brothers do, brothers argue. So they start arguing, and he's telling him, go back home with the sheep. But David doesn't listen. David starts going around, and he was like, why are y'all scared of this Goliath? And they like, you see how big he is? He always be scaring us, and that's why, and you don't even need to be around him. He's like, I can get him. And the fact is, David's a young boy. He never been in war. He only was a sheep herder. So they don't want to hear none of this. But he's persistent. He is persistent. He says, I can get him. And they like, nah, you can't. So then the king comes in, and he wants to talk to the king. He said, King, why are you scared of this Philistine? And he's saying, look how big he is. He shuts us down. And Goliath is over there screaming at him, come on, who wants some? Who wants some of Debo? And they ain't doing nothing. And David is hot. David's like, nah. This is the army. He's defying the army of the Lord. Look how y'all acting. And, the word says out the mouth of babes. No wonder he said, let the kids come. Here come the baby, and he's setting the whole army straight. And we read about the king. The king says, nah, you can't do this. He says, I can do this. the truth is, I've been in these fields fighting lions and bears. Not only fighting them, I took the sheep out their mouth, and then I clubbed them to death. So he's pleading his case to the king. He's like, yeah, I can do this. The king, he's been down there trying to get Goliath for a minute. They've been at war for a while. And he finally gives in. Now, the story gets kind of funny because to me, I don't know why a king would let a kid go in there. He already saw Goliath messing everyone else up and destroying them. Now he's going to let a kid come in. But I also don't understand the brothers. I was a babysitter of my brothers. Ain't no way I'm going to let my little brother, talking all that smack. I'm like, boy, go on back home and stop playing. But that didn't happen. They let the little boy go fight. And so the king, he has his armor. Now the king's armor got to be the best. He got the best armor. He got the sword. He got the helmet. He got the shield. So he tells him after he gives in, he's all right, David, put that on and go get him. Well, you forgot, brother. He's just a little kid here. The stuff he got on him, it's dragging him down. The helmet coming all down probably. The shield is probably down to his knees. So David takes a couple steps. He's like, bruh, I can't do this. I don't fight in this. You know what I mean? And one thing we got to realize, you could go to people and get advice and see how they did things, but you always got to see how the Lord wants it for you. It's not always, I can't do exactly what you want me to do. I can get advice from you. I can hear your examples. I can hear your experiences. But ultimately, I got to go to the Lord to see what he has for me. So that's what he says. He's like, bruh, I can't wear your stuff. I fight with stones and a slingshot. That's my thing. Again, the king lets him go. Now, come on, king, you should realize now this is a little kid. He playing with stones, and he want to go fight Big Debo with stones and slings, but they let him go. And, of course, you know the story. He goes down and slays Goliath, and David ends up being a beast. It's in the word, he is that dude when it comes to fighting. So that was in him. But the truth, David knew the truth the whole time. The facts of that was, you can't do it. You're not a fighter. This was his first fight. But in his spirit, he knew what God had for him. He knew exactly who he trusted when he was in that wilderness fighting those lions and bears. He didn't say I had the skills. He said the Lord protected me and the Lord gave me the wisdom and knowledge to kill those animals, and I know he can do it with me and Goliath. And that's funny that nobody in that whole army had that spirit, you know what I mean? But God will send people your way to fight things you had no idea. He was not supposed to be there. And I think in our lives that there's all kind of factors that we have that people might say, no, you can't do this. It's a formula. It's written on the wall. I was told when I was little in front of a psychiatrist, you ain't going to be nothing. We put in all the numbers and bam, you worthless. They put us in a lot of us, they put us in housing and nowadays, they say we don't have opportunity. The world has us stuck in a system. People don't give us opportunities for jobs and housing and getting to that next level. And those are facts, but I don't believe it's the truth, Because when I look at that, I'm like, people say we stuck. I'm like, I'm not adhesive. I'm not stuck. I was stuck because I was in me, but when I know Christ now, I could come up out of that. You know what I mean? Amen. All those facts is because there's something in our mind that we want to keep up. But the truth is, he can deliver anyone from any situation. So we got to continue to outweigh that. Now, you got to know this, though. You got to know Christ, because I don't care if you have opportunity. If you don't know Christ, you're never going to get to the truth. So we got to stay in him. This is for believers that know, that he is the truth in our lives. You know what I mean? So it's not for everyone. We got to get them saved first. But after that, all those statistics and facts, they can bounce right up off of us. You know what I mean? Because we know the truth, and I know that there's situations. I know there's people out there, but my first thing is we got to get you saved. You know, we can help you, we can feed you, clothe you, get you a house. But if you don't know Jesus, you're still going to be stuck. You know, so ultimately, the facts that the world has, they're going to be dealing with that forever. But us as Christians and saints, let's get them saved and let them know that there's a truth out there. You know, there's a truth, and the truth is in this word. The truth is in him, and the truth is going to always lay in our heart. You know, I have I watch football, and the NFL draft comes once a year. And this, in the draft, I've probably been a part of 4 drafts with family and friends. And the draft can be kind of stressful for some of these players, because if you're not that dude, and first round, sometimes you don't know if you're going or if you're not. You don't know if you're going to get drafted or you're not. So that whole day, it's kind of like 3 or 4 days worth of drafts. It's seven rounds, 32 teams. It's probably about 224 players, somewhere around there that get drafted. But everyone doesn't get drafted. They hope there's probably about 400 people on the list, only 200 some can go. So families are like, man, you know, and now they got the camera on their face, like, oh, here's the next pick. Are you going to get drafted? They looking crazy because they didn't get drafted. And then they there the next day, like, oh, he should have went the first day. It's a stressful situation for some of these players, you know. So anyway, they have the thing the NFL has is the last pick of the draft. It's about number 224. They call it Mr. Irrelevant. They make up a jersey for this player every draft. They put Mr. Irrelevant on the back because he was the last player selected. And they do it every year. And we probably don't even see it a lot because ain't nobody watching the last day who, you know, because they get about 100 players, but by the time the season starts, it's only 52 or something that you can have on your team. So when you get all the way there, most likely you ain't making the team. So Mr. Irrelevant 2 years ago was picked up by San Francisco 49ers. He was a quarterback. And the chances of him making the team is slim to none. His pockets is going to be a little light. He ain't going to be a millionaire. He might be a thousandaire or 100aire, but he ain't getting that money. And also, he has to make the team now, you know, because it's not guaranteed that he got picked. Most people that picked in that late, they don't make the team. Well, anyway, this guy makes the team. He has on the team, he has 2 players that was picked higher. The one quarterback started, and the other quarterback was like the first round the year before. Thank God he made the team. He's excited he made the team. Fast forward, one player gets traded. He's now the second quarterback. Then the first quarterback got hurt. Mr. Irrelevant is now what? Starting quarterback. All the facts about they put the label on his back that said he's not even irrelevant. And he ends up starting. Now, the quarterback that got hurt comes back. And, of course, quarterback, I'll get my spot back. This is what they told him. We rolling with Mr. Irrelevant. What? Can you imagine that? This guy we gave millions to, they telling him to kick rocks, and they going with Mr. Irrelevant. Let me tell you what, and when I saw this, I didn't know, but in my spirit, I'm like, this is God. You know what I mean? How can you go from Mr. Irrelevant and stuff? And they say this team might make the Super Bowl. I don't know about that, but basically, he didn't get his money. But if he gets to there, they're gonna give him his bag. But let me tell you and I didn't know that who he was, but I looked him up because I was real concerned. This is what this guy said. He said, every time I play, No matter what happens, I want others to see God through my actions. Every time I step on the field, I want to bring him glory. Even when we lose, I point to God and thank him for the opportunity. Everything happens for a reason. It's all a lesson from the Lord. It's a game and not my life. And he is Brock Purdy, and he plays for the 49ers. All those facts. And when I heard that story, I'm like, ain't nothing but God that can do something like that for something like that. And I looked at it, and I don't wear his jersey, but I see some. That would be a jersey I would be proud to wear. You know what I mean? But look at all the facts that was stacked up against him, and through life. And Paul had a thorn in his flesh, and it kind of reminded me of what he said. He said, "Why is this thorn all in my flesh?" And he said, and Jesus told him, "My grace is all you need." 2 Corinthians 12:9. He said, "My power works best in weakness." And it's rough. Everybody in the league knew he was Mr. Irrelevant and calling him that. You know what I mean? But God's power works through our weakness. And then Paul says, so after Jesus told him that, Paul said, "I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Christ can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in my insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, he makes me strong." So all the factors of our weakness and our situations and our problems, they don't have to control us. They don't have to define us. We got to keep looking to the hills where our help comes from. You know what I mean? Because this Christ, he shuts all them facts down and continues to elevate us. And we have, and for that elevation to happen, Christ has to show through us. It's for you. It's for you. It's for these lost people. It ain't for him. It's not for that quarterback to get his bag. He's not worried about that. It's the light shining through us that can show others that Christ is real. And Christ is the truth. We do not have to be bogged down by the facts of these life. And you know in your heart what facts control your life. And Jesus was all about facts. I mean, this world will tell you all kind of stuff. It is what it is a popular saying. No, it's not. It is what it is. When you know Christ is like, it ain't what it is. That man was at the pool for 30-something years. Everybody just stepping up over him. He couldn't get in the water. He said, every time I try to get in the water, everyone beats me to it, and I've been stuck here. And what did Christ say? Pick your bed up and walk. Everyone knew, and it was powerful because the whole town, 30-something years, everyone knew that he was hurt, and they was shocked because they saw him. It's not what it is. Mary's brother, Lazarus, was sick. They got word to Jesus. Jesus didn't move. He ended up dying. He didn't only die, they ended up burying Lazarus. Look at all the facts that happened. And Jesus came, and the truth came. He is the truth. And he said, nah, he's not dead. He said, come on out. All the facts about a death, about my brother. She said, bro, you too late. If you was here, he might not have died. She said another fact, she said it stinks. I don't even want to roll back the tomb or the stone on the tomb because I know he stink and it's going to make everything stink. And Jesus said, roll it back. And the truth told him, come on out. You know what I mean? All through his word, it's a whole bunch of facts, but the truth comes out. And that's what I like about Jesus, because they were stuck, and we don't have to be stuck. You know what I mean? So in your situation, just think, I don't have to be stuck. Open up this word and understand that he came as that example, and he showed us that example. We don't have to be stuck in our facts and our circumstances. We can follow the truth, and the truth can set us free. The truth can put us on a whole different level. But we got to be living right. It's not for us to be out there doing us and wilding, and then we think that, he can squash the facts and elevate us. You know, it's a method that works through us that our light can shine. Our light ain't going to shine through no mess, you know. So continue, if you know Christ, to stay in him. And those facts that have you bogged down, or those facts that have you stuck, you could throw them right out the window and follow the truth, and the truth will set you free. You know, they wanted to take. Another thing they tell us to do is don't change the narrative. That's a big word now. Don't change the narrative. You know, but the narrative is what Christ came to change. You know. I don't have to be stuck on what they bring us. And that's what you have to. We have to be a peculiar people. Why aren't you running to this? Why aren't you stressing over that? Why ain't this got you bogged down? It don't got me bogged down because I know who Jesus is. This is the truth. So the news brings us all kind of facts and this and that. And we can't be that kind of people that are terrified or scared about those facts. They bring them, and the more people get elevated in technology, the facts come through more and more trying to scare us, you know. But I know who the truth is, and I know that I don't have to listen to that at all, you know. I think, you know, when they took Jesus to the cross, you know, they had he was sentenced to death. You know, and it was called Golgotha, the place of the skulls. Now, this place, they was like 100% on killing people. That was their thing. It was skulls. They didn't have no zeros. They were undefeated. The facts was he died on that cross. He was so dead. They usually break your bones, but they looked at Jesus and be like, nah. He's good and dead. All the facts were stacked up that he was dead. But we all know you can't kill the truth, you know. And on the third day, he rose with all power, and the truth can never die. Amen. Amen. Thank you, and God bless.
Amen. So you can know the facts, but you better understand what the truth is. Amen. Because the facts, they're unrefutable. But the truth changes that. I told y'all before, too, about, you know, being a bench player. You know, folks want to cry and complain because they ain't in the game. But while you sitting there waiting, you need to be preparing like you're going to play one day. And that's another thing that makes the whole, you know, story with Brock so important was he didn't come in as he didn't know what was going on. He came in because he paid attention. He prepared. You know, same thing as another one of the greats, which was Tom Brady. You know, so don't think because you ain't up here or God, no. The truth is God can do whatever he want with you, whenever he want with you. You just got to make sure you ready. So get into that word. Amen. You heard it. The fact is, if you ain't in this word, the truth ain't going to help you out.